The woman in black was already standing inside the vault when the realization finally settled in. Not exploded, not screamed. Settled, like cold air slipping under a door. Diamonds lay exposed on velvet trays, catching the light in ways they were never meant to. No alarm screamed, no guards rushed in. One crucial detail about how this silence was engineered would remain hidden for years. Before we continue, where are you watching from right now? Drop your city or country in the comments. And if you love scam stories where criminals stay calm, plans stay elegant, and consequences turn brutal, subscribe to ScamSphere, because missing the next story would be a mistake you regret. December 5, 2008, Paris. Place Vendôme. A square so polished it almost feels artificial. This was not a place where crime belonged. This was where luxury brands did business quietly, where security was discreet and reputation acted as a shield. Harry Winston was not just another jewelry store here. It was the crown jewel among crown jewels. Inside, the atmosphere was deliberately calm. Thick carpets absorbed sound. Lighting was engineered to flatter diamonds, not expose danger. Employees were trained to sell confidence as much as stones. Every detail reinforced the idea that nothing bad could happen here. That belief was the first vulnerability. At approximately 5:30 in the evening, 4 individuals entered the boutique. 3 men, 1 woman. They were dressed sharply, blending seamlessly with the usual clientele. No masks, no rush. No nervous glances. Their posture suggested familiarity, not fear. The woman spoke first. Her voice was controlled, polite, almost reassuring. She informed the staff that this was a robbery and explained that cooperation would keep everyone safe. No shouting, no weapons brandished theatrically. Just authority delivered calmly. Employees froze, not out of terror, but confusion. This did not resemble the robberies they had been trained for. There was no violence to react to, no chaos to manage, only instructions that felt disturbingly reasonable. One by one, staff members were escorted away from public areas. Phones were taken, doors were closed. No one was harmed. No one screamed. The boutique remained visually pristine, which later baffled responding officers. The thieves moved with purpose. They ignored most of the showroom. This was not a smash-and-grab operation. They headed directly for restricted areas, toward the vaults that held high jewelry pieces rarely seen by the public. Items reserved for royalty, collectors, and red carpet appearances. Inside the vault, the operation revealed its true sophistication. The group did not rush. They did not argue. Each person seemed to know exactly what to touch and what to leave behind. They selected pieces with expert judgment. Diamond necklaces worth millions, vintage stones with documented provenance, loose gems that could be separated and redistributed. They used padded transport bags designed to protect delicate settings. That detail alone stunned investigators later. This was not theft driven by impulse. This was theft driven by respect for the merchandise. The entire operation lasted approximately 15 minutes. No alarms were triggered. No police were alerted until the thieves were long gone. When officers arrived, the scene felt unreal. The doors were intact. The cases were untouched. The staff emerged, shaken but unharmed. The only evidence of the crime was absence. The valuation followed quickly. Approximately 85 million euros in stolen jewelry. Roughly $108 million USD. The largest jewelry robbery in French history. And perhaps the most unsettling part was not the number, but how cleanly it had been executed. No gunshots, no blood, no panic. Just precision. Paris did not erupt in fear. It whispered. The problem with diamonds is that they do not forget where they come from. Cash dissolves into circulation, but diamonds carry memory. Every cut, every inclusion, every microscopic imperfection is cataloged somewhere, often multiple places. Harry Winston did not sell jewelry anonymously. Its stones were documented, photographed, insured, and quietly tracked across borders and decades. When the vault was emptied, the thieves did not just take wealth. They took objects with identities that could haunt them forever. French authorities understood this immediately. The absence of violence, alarms, or visible damage did not comfort investigators. It alarmed them. Crimes that look clean on the surface tend to rot underneath. There were no obvious suspects, no panicked witnesses giving contradictory statements, no chaotic timeline to reconstruct. Instead, there was elegance, and elegance suggested planning. The investigation shifted away from the store itself and toward the ecosystem around it. Every employee was interviewed. Every contractor questioned. Security consultants, maintenance crews, and temporary staff were scrutinized. The assumption was simple and uncomfortable. Someone knew too much. But weeks of questioning produced no collapse. No employee cracked. No clear betrayal emerged. That forced investigators to consider a darker possibility. The thieves may not have been insiders. They may have been observers. The operation suggested familiarity, but familiarity does not require access. It requires patience. Investigators reconstructed months of activity around the boutique: foot traffic, surveillance, blind spots, routine changes. Patterns formed slowly. Someone had studied the store the way a predator studies prey. Timing, staffing shifts, response delays. Human habits, not technical flaws, were the true vulnerability. That realization shifted the investigation outward. Within European law enforcement, one name began circulating again, quietly, carefully: the Pink Panthers. They were not a gang in the traditional sense. They were a network. A fluid constellation of criminals, mostly from the Balkans, connected by trust, reputation, and shared methods. Their operations spanned countries and years. They were already suspected in dozens of high-end jewelry robberies across Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. What made them different was not just what they stole, but how. They preferred calm over chaos, disguises over intimidation, precision over volume. Women often played critical roles, sometimes as decoys, sometimes as leaders. Violence was rare, not out of morality, but efficiency. Panic created mistakes. Mistakes created trails. The Harry Winston heist fit their signature with disturbing accuracy. Still, suspicion is not proof. Years passed without arrests tied directly to the Paris robbery. The media romanticized the crime, framing it as elegant, almost cinematic. Insurance companies absorbed the losses. The public moved on. But behind the scenes, pressure built. Diamonds began resurfacing in fragments, not complete pieces, not recognizable sets. Individual stones, settings stripped away. Gems quietly recut, their original proportions altered just enough to blur their documented identities. This process took time, skill, and connections. It also carried risk. Every alteration left traces. Every resale required silence. Law enforcement tracked whispers rather than evidence. Informants spoke of stones moving through underground markets in Eastern Europe. Some appeared briefly in the Middle East. Others vanished entirely into private collections where questions were not asked. The thieves themselves faced a different threat: each other. Large heists rarely collapse because of police brilliance alone. They collapse because human beings are unreliable under pressure. Greed accelerates spending. Fear accelerates betrayal. Silence becomes heavier than guilt. Those connected to the Harry Winston robbery carried an invisible burden. The money was enormous, but so was the attention. Every purchase felt dangerous. Every relationship felt transactional. Trust decayed. As years passed, European authorities began arresting members of the Pink Panthers for unrelated robberies. Wiretaps, surveillance, and informants slowly peeled back the network. Names connected, patterns aligned. Conversations hinted at Paris. Then came the arrests. In 2011, French authorities arrested several suspects believed to be linked to the Harry Winston Heist. The investigation had taken years because the thieves did not rush their downfall. They dispersed, they waited, they lived quietly. Among those arrested was Younes El Hajjaj, identified as a central organizer. Evidence showed planning meetings, logistical coordination, and communication consistent with the Paris operation. The case was not built on a single confession, but on accumulation. Financial records, intercepted calls, testimony from associated criminals seeking reduced sentences. The trials moved slowly, deliberately. In 2015, a Paris court delivered its verdict. 8 men were convicted for their roles in the Harry Winston robbery. Sentences ranged up to 15 years in prison. The court confirmed what investigators had long believed. The heist was the result of meticulous planning, insider-level knowledge, and psychological control, not force. But justice arrived incomplete. Only a small fraction of the stolen jewelry was ever recovered. The majority of the diamonds remained missing. No vault was discovered. No buried cash uncovered. No dramatic recovery operation unfolded. The stones had dissolved into the criminal bloodstream of the global luxury market. Some experts believe many were recut beyond recognition, permanently erasing their original identities. Others believe some pieces remain hidden, too recognizable to sell, too valuable to destroy. A fortune locked in limbo. The woman in black remained an enigma. She was never publicly identified or charged. Investigators acknowledged her central role, but never confirmed her identity. Some believe she was a former employee. Others argue she was a specialist recruited solely for that role. Either way, her presence reshaped how law enforcement viewed the crime. She did not rely on fear. She relied on authority. She did not rush. She directed. Her calm dismantled resistance more effectively than a weapon ever could. The Harry Winston heist exposed a flaw luxury security had long ignored. Systems were designed to stop violence, not confidence. Guards were trained to react to threats, not instructions delivered calmly by someone who looked like they belonged. The thieves did not break the system. They blended into it. Paris learned something uncomfortable that day. The most protected spaces are often defended by assumption rather than certainty. When criminals understand the psychology of security, technology becomes secondary. The heist did not end when the diamonds left the vault. It echoed through boardrooms, security manuals, and insurance policies across the luxury world. Protocols changed. Trust tightened. But the damage was already done. Because the most dangerous crimes are not the ones that feel dangerous when they happen. They are the ones that feel normal. And if you think this scam was chilling, wait until you hear about the next one.